Welcome to the North College Hill City Council Rules and Public Policy meeting for Monday, March 27th, 2023. Today, primarily our agenda will be, we're going to discuss the facility use policy. And I just wanted to mention that about the parental ordinance. Mayor Nichols asked me to kind of do some research into that, as a result of the school board voting to move North College Hill City Schools to a 4-day week with one virtual day. So we need to really try to make sure that those those ordinances about parental supervision are up to date. I haven't pulled those yet, but I did want to put that on everyone's radar. So, did everybody receive a copy of the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, so Ms. Clear, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. The reason that this is kind of like picking up where we left off, a few months ago, where we had originally discussed the possibility of allowing the room that we were all sitting in to be rented or to be available to outside groups. That's kind of where all of this came about. But now that the city has a second facility, being the current senior center building, it is, for everyone watching, it is not open. Just to make that clear. We still have a few things that we need to take care of before that building can be reopened. But in the meantime, I am getting requests almost on a weekly basis of people interested in renting the facility. So with that in mind, I thought that we could perhaps take the framework of what I had sent previously and either modify it or take it up a level so it's not so specific, to a particular facility, and then see how we can either rework that or make some kind of internal policy. I'm not sure that it needs to be an ordinance, but some sort of an operating policy, that we can all abide by, when people are interested in reserving that facility. So that's where I am right now with this process.
Okay. And so are you going to just use kind of the framework that you had sent to us before?
Yes, I had started making reading through it, and for the most part, it's generic enough that I think it could apply, but there's some things that are specific to that facility. For example, use of the kitchen. In the senior center facility, we would allow social events where we would not have allowed that here. Those kinds of differences between the two facilities. So what I'm noodling on this is, do we have a core policy that applies to all facilities, and then there's a separate addendum or a procedure that applies to each individual facility? I mean, we only have two, so it's not like I have to make this terribly complicated, but but there's certain things that, we can do in the senior center that we can't do here, and certain things that we can't do regardless, of where, the events or what types of events they are that are taking place.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because it's municipally, is that a word? Owned and operated versus a nonprofit. So, for example, when the nonprofit owned and operated that building, they could do things like poker tournaments, raffles, things like that. We will be unable to do that as a government body in that building, and we cannot. I'm still trying to struggle. I'm struggling with, if a third party rents the facility, what are the limitations as far as what they can do, even if they are a nonprofit or a qualified charity, the types of activities that would be allowed or disallowed, that I don't know.
Do you have any idea about when that facility will be open and available?
That is a great question. I can tell you the kinds of things that we still have yet to do. I do not have my arms around a time frame for that just yet. We do need to remediate some things in the building. For example, the fire detection and fire, like the smoke detectors, the fire extinguishers, all those things need to be updated. They have since expired, in the interim period between when the facility closed and when we acquired the building. The kitchen appliances, we're still determining whether that is a showstopper for opening the building or not. It really all depends. It's definitely a showstopper for rentals, I'll tell you that. Everybody who's wanted to rent the facility wanted the kitchen. And if we have no refrigerator or stove or anything, then it's just an empty room at this point.
Right.
They got rid of all that.
Yes. The freezer still works. We plug that
Hot
in,
dogs.
it gets cold.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Um,
Sorry, she's the chair.
Yeah, I know. That's my little interruption
I'm on too many
thing.
committees in my other life.
Did we say that wow, that's loud today. Did we say that the bus had been sold?
It was given away, actually.
I
Everything
saw
has to be
our
given
bus
away. Right.
last Thursday or Friday at about 8:40 in the morning at is it called North College Hill West Senior Center at
Yes.
the corner
It's
of
the West-
Simpson
it's called
and
West College Hill.
West College Hill. I believe
Yeah.
technically it's Springfield Township, or it might be
It
College Hill. and
is
through there,
Springfield Township. And I said, hey, that's our bus. What are they doing with our bus? I said, yeah, I heard that in the meeting, so.
Yeah, and
So I saw our
So-
old bus.
So there's things that are physically within the building, and I did invite Ms. Iki and I walked through with I'm going to call her a subject matter expert, but she is in the catering hospitality industry, and she came through and gave us some advice on how to get that kitchen back up and running and be compliant with the level of service that we intend to do there. We do not need to be to the same degree as a restaurant, or a full-fledged catering facility. We're not making food there to sell. So it's more like a prep kitchen, kind of holding kitchen. There's different risk levels, which I didn't know. So she kind of gave us a bunch of advice on that. She's given me some connections with, some of her colleagues and connections to see if we can get some appliances in there for a reasonable price. Versus just me poking around the yellow pages trying to. And then the other thing that we need to do is take a look at some of these things arguably are cosmetic. The painting, the ceiling tiles. I think I've mentioned before that a baton twirling group has basically torn up the ceiling in there. But whether that's a showstopper for letting them come in and do volleyball, I don't think so, right? But to my mind, things like the smoke detectors and the fire extinguishers are a showstopper. I'm not comfortable with having groups of people in that building unless those things have been remediated.
Of course.
So that's just for and we are working on that internally to get that taken care of. I do not have a time frame for that.
Okay.
I just had a curious question. If we rent that out, do we have to acquire commercial appliances or just regular residential? I'm just curious.
I would say probably residential plus.
Okay.
It's not like these appliances are going to be used 8, 10, 12 hours a day like you would in a commercial facility. So I think the issue with the commercial versus residential is the durability of the device device, listen to me. But I think since it's going to be like an occasional use, we can do, I would say residential plus. So like something you would, maybe like a 6 or 8 burner stove rather than 4.
Yeah,
But I don't think we need to invest in, a $20,000 commercial stove. I don't think that's necessary.
And then I'm just curious also, and did she recommend, just out of the air, a holding fee for the rental, like for if anything gets damaged or if it requires, whoever uses it, they're supposed to clean up? Did she suggest any type of holding fee?
No, she was I strictly had her come in there for the purpose of functionality and appliances and things like that.
So that's further down the
Right.
road.
I mean,
Okay.
she did recommend, reach-in refrigerator and ice machine, because if people rent that building, you don't want them to have dragging bags of ice, for all their events. That would be nice if we had an ice machine.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Just things like that. Being able to handle like the dishwashing. I think almost all the cabinets are going to have to come out. They're very old. And some of them
yeah,
have water damage just because there's no floor drain in the kitchen. So if anything puddled, right, it would just be right up under, so you really need to have like the metal prep tables is really what you should have in a kitchen regardless. They can be sanitized, they can be easily cleaned, and they're not as susceptible to water damage as the wooden cabinets are.
Okay.
And even if everything was beautifully maintained, those cabinets are every day of 50 years old. So they've held up remarkably well. They're just not going to work as we move forward.
Yeah.
So we'll find other uses for them. They're just not going to be practical, for use in the senior center as we move forward.
Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Yes.
That
I
sounds
wanted to
really
ask you, Ms.
good.
Claire, then, once you get past the kitchen area, and then there's rooms beyond that. In the rooms beyond that, to the left of where the ceramic stuff is, there was a metal table back there that was fastened to the floor. Is that still there?
There are two metal, I'm going to call them kitchen prep tables that
Yes.
are in the, where the Meals on Wheels preparation took place.
Yes, exactly.
They are still there.
Okay.
Yeah. One of them is in iffy condition, but the other
Oh.
one's still pretty good. So I think we could move that one into the main kitchen area.
Yeah. Okay. Just
But
curious.
yeah, like I said, the main thing is we're still getting our arms around, the smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, that kind of thing. I think that's really, in my mind, that's the showstopper right now.
Certainly.
What about the tables and chairs that were in the main room
They are
there?
still there.
Oh, okay,
That's good.
We have tables and chairs to comfortably seat 100.
okay.
Even though the capacity of that room is larger than that, but that's the seating and tables that we have right now today in there.
That's good. Thank you.
And most of the decorations, game supplies, puzzles are still there. The digital bingo board is gone. That had been donated by a previous member and it was given away. The way they came and they said it was about the size of that TV. And then I think they said there was at least one other TV that used to be in there that's not there anymore. So, like I said, those to me are not showstoppers. We can kind of get those things going later. But it's, just the safety.
Safety
Public
first.
safety is
Right,
my
of
primary
course.
concern.
Safety first.
And the kitchen's just going to hold us up from being able to rent it.
Sure.
Okay, fair enough. So you anticipate that your policy would apply, you'll have one policy for this space and then the other policy for the space that was formerly the senior center?
Well, where my head's at now that we have two spaces is I kind of want to make the draft that I sent you originally a little bit more generic, just kind of the general rules of any time you're renting a city space, this is what you have to keep in mind. If there are doors that are locked, they have to stay locked. You're not allowed to prop things open. You're not allowed to let kids run, without supervision. Those kind of things are going to apply regardless of what building it is. And then at the end, just have the specific rooms, what the room rates are, and things like that. And to Ms. Blythe's question earlier, no, she did not advise me on pricing, but I am looking at other area facilities to see what would be a comparable rate. I know what they did charge at the senior center before. I see no reason to change that rate for 2023 to just let people just stay with what they're used to. And then we can continue to do our research on how much to charge for rentals, possibly for 2024 or 25.
I was thinking the rental fee and the deposit fee in case, they don't clean up or if something's damaged,
And
because you never know.
That's
Yeah.
that's standard.
Yeah, you never know. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions for Ms. Clear?
No.
I had one more, because I'm a little bit ahead of the game, but did we have our own, do you know if we had our own special mechanics that we license out for repair of our previous bus, or like a contract with someone, or?
That I'm not aware of.
Probably be
I didn't address the bus, actually I should.
Oh, okay.
There were two vehicles. The one was marginally functional. It's still in the parking lot. The other one that was relatively new, it was a recent purchase, and that was the one that was given away.
Okay.
So I am actively looking for funding. Most of the grants don't like to do vehicles, so that's where I'm running into a roadblock there. But I'm going to have some conversations with the mayor and Ms. Iki about how we can move forward with some of these expenditures and how we present that to council and say, okay, here's what we know we have coming in. Here's what I think I can fundraise, and then, somebody needs to make a decision about how to appropriate those funds. So.
Do you know how much that, the van that was given away, do you know how much a similar van would cost?
I do.
How much is that?
Used, you want a 14-passenger van, and the reason you want a 14-passenger is so you don't have to deal with the CDL. Just going to throw that out there.
Of course.
And the 14-passenger vans with the lift-equipped van is used around $30,000.
Okay.
New can be 50, 60, or higher.
Okay. So the gist was, because they were a 501K, we couldn't keep, it was hard for me to wrap my brain around where we plan on continuing the senior center, but then again, because they were a 501K, we had to donate everything away. It's just
They'd made the decision to
bang,
donate those things away.
bang your head.
That was not a city, the city had
no control.
no control over what that
Yeah.
happened. As long, because all of those things, and I want to be very clear, all of those items, all of the dues that were collected, all the furniture, every single thing that had anything to do with that building or facility was owned and managed by the 501c3. The
Gotcha.
city did only acquired the facility on February, whatever it was that we signed off on all the paperwork. So
Yeah.
up until that point, they were well within their rights, to begin to divest themselves of these assets in accordance with nonprofit dissolution. There's a procedure for that.
Yeah, gotcha.
So-
And then one more question, will the incoming levy funds, the senior levy fund, that probably wasn't how the bus was purchased, or you don't,
I
no
have
one
no
knows?
idea.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's no access to any of those records, right?
Gotcha.
Those belong to the nonprofit.
501, yeah, I got you, okay. Yeah. It's like our intent was to keep it open, but I understand about the.
My goal, and I think the
501.
mayor's goal and Ms. Iki's goal is to get that back open as soon as we possibly can. We just have to get some of these things taken care of first.
Yeah, gotcha. That's life. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. So, when do you, what do you need for us to do?
There are some items that I would like the committee to research or give me some guidance on, even if it's, like offline. I definitely need an arbitration clause in here. That was missing, I believe, from last time. If there's anything involving permitted use or not permitted use of a government-owned facility, for example, with games of chance, or, if someone else were to rent the facility and want to use it for political activity, what are my limitations on that? That I don't know.
Okay. I will, I will follow up on that and send that to you. And then if you need us to put it on the agenda, sorry, on council's agenda or something like that, just let us know.
Okay, and again, earlier I said I'm not sure if this requires any specific legislation other than to say that there will be a facility use policy.
Right.
But I don't know if that there's any, I don't want to necessarily codify this level of detail. That would be
Right.
onerous, but, just, I don't know what the next legal steps would be as far as what we would have to do in order to enact any of
Well,
this.
I don't think that we need an ordinance either. I agree with you there. I just think as long as the policy is available for, any member of the public who wants to review it or take a look at it, I think we're fine with that.
Okay, thank you.
And we have insurance on the building for when people use that in the future? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Clear? Okay. So, at the last council meeting, the mayor asked me to kind of think about the parental ordinances as a result of the schools going to a 4-day week. And I have, honestly, I haven't had an opportunity to pull any of those ordinances. Does anybody know what those ordinances are by any chance? Otherwise, I'll just have to kind of,
Regarding what?
like, for example, we don't, I guess we don't want kids walking around the city when they're supposed to be in school on that virtual day.
Monday.
So something about that, I would think, just requiring some kind of parental supervision, something.
Okay.
Maybe some kind of truancy.
Well, yeah, they already are on the books, and I would imagine that the police department and the school division is aware of those and where to find them, so we could get help from them.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
there is a parental ordinance. I'm not quite sure how to, I hate to use this word, I can't find where the ordinances are on our new webpage. So there is one in there. If I find it before your meeting is over, I will forward it to you.
Okay.
Just a review of that one. I don't know if it has anything in there that pertains to during school hours, where the kids are, we don't want them out when they should be in during those hours. I know there are particular things, but the particular ordinance that I was referring to talked about their behavior in the community and how the parent then will be held responsible if they do
Okay.
not adhere to certain things. So I'll look to see if I see it and then forward it to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I wanted to step back just 2 minutes ago. So when we were talking about the senior center,
Okay.
my
Sure.
lawyer's going to need to review that policy.
Yes.
So,
Not the same thing about
Yep.
the lawyer.
I was going to actually send him that and then also ask him about the arbitration clause as well as permitted uses of a
Great.
government-owned facility. So that was.
Thank you.
I was actually going to, that was on my
Okay.
action items. Okay. We were also discussing, we were also discussing, at our last meeting, we were going through the council rules. So if, okay. We've got parental responsibility ordinance 50915. Okay, so let me look that up.
50915.
Got people talking to me on the phone there. 50915, 509.15, and 509.12, 509.12. So how about I go and look that up right now?
What is going on with my laptop? Both my feet were off my laptop. I'm like, why is it? Yeah, they have glue on them, but they both came out. Oh my goodness. That's why it was sideways. Okay. There we go. Okay. Alrighty.
Okay. Right now, I'm looking at chapter 509.
I came up with a 2010 payout.
15, parental responsibility. Okay, that appears to be the correct ordinance. And I bet you, let me see. 50915, okay, I'm going to. I'll send that to everybody, if everybody just
Thank
gives
you.
me a moment here. Let's see. Okay. There's also one about curfew, it looks like. I'm going back.
Is that 509.12 for the curfew?
No, it's .10.
Oh, okay.
And then there's, let's see.
So I have 509.12, and it's titled School Hours Curfew for.
Oh, there we go, yep. Let me do that one as well. Let me. 2. Okay, and okay. So we got 10, that's minors curfew, 12, school hours curfew, and 15, parental responsibility. Is that right? I think that's right. 10. 10 is probably maybe evenings. But we probably should update that for school hours when there's a virtual school day, I would think. So I'm gonna include that one.
Madam Chair, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Would this, I know that if I remember correctly, I'm not going to say I know, if I remember correctly, one of the permitted activities that, at least this, if I remember correctly, the school was saying is that, especially for the high school age children, that they could engage in job training. If I remember correctly on that Monday, if that was available. I don't remember if that's something, I mean, if they're not in, if they, because this says specifically that's an employment situation, if they're employed pursuant to an age or schooling certificate during actual working hours or traveling directly to or from the job site, then basically they're good, even if they're not in school, right? So I didn't know if that would apply to anything like job training, if they were taking like an all-day training class on Mondays when they're not in school. I didn't know if that would apply.
I guess that's probably something we need to talk about. Just kind of, I think it's just primarily to make sure that there's just kind of not just kids are not running around when on that day that school's supposed to be virtual.
As of right right now, the high school does not have any of those type of programs. It's only like some of the kids that go out to the Oaks program.
You need to get by the mic.
He was referring to students who are enrolled in the Oaks programs that would already have capability of attending job-related training, but the rest of the students who are not enrolled in Oaks programs would not have access to that training.
Okay. And again, I'm just sending it to everyone, not trying to overload everybody's email. Probably shouldn't do that, but find this to be easier, so, okay. Two, and 1-5.
8:30 to
Okay.
2:30.
So I'm sending that to everyone, and we will be able to at least take a kind of look at the parental ordinances so that we can update those in light of the 4-day week. So, okay, so we were it's 7:15, and we had been going through council rules, at our last meeting. And, let's see, I was saving what we were talking about and adding notes. So where I wrote that we had left off, let's see,
9.03, majority required?
let's see, we talked
Oh, no,
about,
I'm sorry.
wait a minute.
I left the mark in here.
Public access, let me see.
If I'm in the right document, this is the, oh, no, I'm sorry, that's in the charter. You were doing rules. I
Okay,
marked the charter for some reason.
I think we were at 2, public access. If I'm not mistaken, that's where we left off.
2, okay.
We talked about how
Oh, okay.
all electronic devices shall be silenced during council and committee meetings. And then I have a note next to that, but that was where my last note was located. Does anybody have something different?
No, that's where mine leave off.
Ms. Blythe?
I don't know why I have that one marked, but I found it.
Okay.
it, so.
So, and I know that we're not gonna be able to get very far into this, but I figure if we just keep plugging away, we'll get through it.
And Madam Chair,
Yes,
I do have a note under the electronic devices that I think we were going to add a clause in there similar to including but not limited to.
yes, that's exactly where, yes, this rule should say including but not limited to cell phones. Yep.
Thank you.
Hello, Ms. Dixteen.
There.
So public access is 2, meetings open to the public. So Ms. Dixteen, what we were talking about, we had, we were reviewing council rules. And this, we had left off with, is this rule 2? Is that, let me see. How is this organized? Yes, just, I guess, rule 2. Public access.
Okay.
And I just thought we could just go through, just kind of get through them all, make notes, and then request a committee meeting of the whole to update them and then actually enforce what we've updated.
Okay, I got it. One more.
Actually, though, you know what? I scratch that. I do have some new business. And once we discuss our new business, we probably won't have time to get into the rules today. So I apologize for that. Just, I'm all over the place here. I just remembered that. So with our resignation of Ms. Anderson, we're going to have a new council member. And we had been talking about previously having some kind of, like a binder or something for some people who join council, just to make the transition easier for someone who comes onto council. And so I thought a little about that. And so I wanted to talk to you all about that. I thought that this committee was probably the best place for something like that to come from. And what I thought we could include in a binder would be obviously a copy of the council rules, a copy of the council charter, as well as all of the ordinances and the resolutions from the current calendar year, the salary ordinance, and the budget. Is there anything else that you all can imagine that we would need to include in a binder for that? Also, the committees are, the descriptions are included within the charter, but also I would like to have some kind of, something saying, here are the members and the chair and the vice chair, and just some more information about the committees as well. So,
I'd like to add to that list if we could, because I've been the clerk and we've had new
Right.
members coming in. The phone list, it doesn't seem to
Okay.
be updated or always available.
okay,
Madam Chair, I feel like I sent you something, but it's been over a year, so I'm going to look in my email.
okay.
I feel like I sent you and Ms. DeWald something about what I discovered that new council would need. Let me check right quick.
And, Madam Chair,
Yes,
and just to kind of clarify my statement, that included all the department heads.
okay, of
And
course.
It's the lawyer. Tracy, do you remember how that was labeled? It had everybody on there. And it seems like we only get now the council numbers, where we had access before to all the department heads.
It was just clearly like, city phone list or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything that was very detailed.
So if
The
maybe
title.
someone has that in their arsenal of paperwork, they could cough it up and we could make adjustments to it.
I don't know if some of the stuff I had is still back there. It should be, but it would
Okay.
have been in the miscellaneous.
Okay.
Another suggestion, I don't know if you said this or not, but maybe a list of your meeting dates and times.
The calendar schedule?
Okay.
Or the schedule, whatever you want to call it, yeah.
Of course, okay,
Madam Chair,
yes,
I also think we should add the website where we do the, you know how you have to register your finances or
oh, yes,
Ethics.
ethics, yep.
okay,
And I will be happy as a finance chair to write up like who's on my committee, who's holds what position, and a little bit about what that committee does, just so, because I remember when Mashallah started, she was trying to figure out which each committee did, and who better than the person who runs that committee to kind of offer that.
well, to give you a start, there is a description of every committee in the charter, I believe.
And in the council
And in the
rules.
rules, but just to, I would start there and add to that. I think that's a great idea. I just wanted to make something kind of standard so that whomever takes that seat can kind of hit the ground running based on kind of our experience. And I thought, I was kind of thinking about that. So far, we talked about a phone list, the rules of council, the charter, the 2023 ordinances, 2023 resolutions, the EPIC's website and requirements. Is that right?
Yep.
And meet the meetings,
Time, calendar.
okay, so list of committees,
Yeah.
so including ad hoc ones with representatives, responsibilities. Okay. Anything else that I should be thinking about including?
Madam Chair, I found it in the history of me doing this stuff, although we're under new leadership now, so it may not be a problem. Just getting paperwork together to sign to get your payroll started. That should be an automatic, I know.
Okay.
A key for the building, that should all be an automatic, but I don't know if you want to put that in there or just keep it as a footnote somewhere.
Chief for building.
Yeah, and information, if they want to look up their paychecks on, what is it, Paycor?
Paycor.
Yeah, I had to find that out.
Access to email.
Good idea, Lori.
And
Another note is they want, let me get it right. They want, this is kind of off the subject, but when they start, they need to, is it 10%? Yeah, they need to put in, their withholding should be approximately 10%, because when I started the first year, it wasn't the 10%, and so I owed a little bit of money on it. Just make sure they have the proper withholding for their monthly council check, just in hindsight. I learned that after the fact. So I had to contact the budget person, you know what I'm saying, to fill out paper, to readjust that for me.
Are you talking about with the W-4?
The withholding for the council, for some reason, for like the whole, my first year,
Federal?
yes, it was not withholding amount, and then when I went on federal, I looked up the dollar amount for the year, and it said 10%. So I ran in, so is it Kristen? Am I getting what's her name?
Kirsten.
Kirsten.
You helped me with the paperwork, yeah, to update it and make the withholding the correct amount,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so, again, we're not sure who that individual will be, but, I'll put the binder together, and if I could get the information from that committee from you, and I guess we'll figure out about the other committee, because there's no chair yet. I guess we'll get that worked out. I don't suppose either one of you is going to volunteer to be the chair, Ms. Blythe?
For what area?
Is it community development?
We need a
Recreation.
chair and vice chair.
Well, I think
Mashallah.
Mashallah is going to be the vice chair.
Okay.
So, Ms. Blythe, I think you're the only council member who's not a chair or a vice chair. No pressure.
Yeah.
Sounds like pressure.
I had actually asked somebody where you get the topics from. I asked Mary Jo.
The chair.
The agenda and what you're going to talk about.
The chair.
You can also talk to the recreation director, because a lot of those ideas come from that department.
I was gonna say, I get lots of emails about what to put on the agenda, so you probably won't have to
Let's
worry
say you
about
won't
that.
have a
Who do
problem
you get
at all.
emails from?
From all kinds of folks.
Members,
You would be
the
surprised.
public.
Yes. You will get plenty of emails like, can you please add this to your agenda? Can you please discuss this in your meeting? Can you please, There's a spotlight on you, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're sitting here and, yeah.
And when does the agenda have to be done?
When you get it done. Sometimes, I come in here on the day of the meeting, right before the meeting, and pass them out, because we all have jobs that actually
I know,
pay our bills.
full-time
So,
job.
right. And I can't, sacrifice that job for this one. But I can make sure I have an agenda when I get here. So sometimes that's, ideally that's the week before. That's when I would like for it to be. But sometimes it's the day of. So I understand, I think we all understand that we all have jobs except for those of us who are fortunate enough to be retired.
Uh-oh.
So, I don't think that there's anything about that, but I'm fairly certain that you would do a very good job with it, and, yes.
I guess it would be Annalise, because she's the expert, because I don't really know anything about
Ms. Blythe,
recreation.
you will do just fine.
I'll think
It's
about
really
it.
just conducting the meeting.
I'll think about it.
So.
Yes.
So what happens if you come in and you don't have an agenda? You can just wing it?
You just have, I mean, you just say that this, your agenda you always have old business and new business on
Oh,
every
okay.
agenda, right? So
Uh-huh.
you always have those two items. And there's always something to talk about when it comes to recreation.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, people will send you emails about your agenda. So typically, I have all of my agendas saved in a folder, and I just change the date every week. And I just take things off or add additional items to it. But every agenda talks about meeting minutes, the agenda, old business, new business, and then I add something to that. Add to it or take away, as the case may be. And that's, within the discretion of the chair. And, just with regard to recreation, right now, there's the splash pad, that's a big agenda item. Everybody's wondering about the splash pad and when it's gonna be finished, and what is that piece of machinery right there for, and
I have a question now that we're not in a recreation meeting, never mind. Every time I drive by, I'm like, is the pad in the front, or is the parking in the back? Or is
well,
the
again, as the chair of that committee, you could find that information out for all of us and come back and let us know the answer to that.
Towards the street, parking, towards the alley.
That's so you can keep
I'm
an eye
sure.
on the kids. That's what I was thinking. Why would they be in the alley?
Read your email.
Gotcha. Because every time I drive by, I'm like, because it's on the left side. Yeah.
She just sent it
Okay.
right now.
It was 7:24, look at that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just read it real quick.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
She would suggest a sheet with descriptions of each committee and position, but I think we talked about that.
List of committees, including ad hocs with representatives and responsibilities. Yep,
Okay. And then she talked about the onboarding sheet, so we did that in Paycor.
right. So,
Okay.
what I will do is, I will create that binder, and I know we just went down a little rabbit hole there. But
Yeah.
I turned and looked, and I was like, that's right, Miss Blythe, you're the only one who's not a chair or a vice chair, so, and you're a seasoned member of council now, so.
She's driving it hard.
No, a seasoned member without any
And we
knowledge
did just
of
get a
recreation.
raise.
Annalise
Of
is
what,
enthusiastic.
42 cents?
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
good grief.
I got you. Yeah.
So, okay, so it is 7:32 according to my clock. Does anyone have any other questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes.
It's always off subject. Who changes that clock up there? Does somebody have to get a ladder? I'm sorry, it's not related to the, but I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it is
Somebody has to
annoying.
get a ladder, I guess.
Or, we could just start talking about it in every council meeting, and then it'll magically get fixed. So I figure that's what we should probably do.
It's
Madam
never
Chair.
right.
It's very, very passive aggressive.
We do
but,
have a
it
new
works.
hire he's really taller than the rest of them.
I think you
So
still need a ladder,
he could get there
though.
quicker.
Yeah.
'Cause we have a, old-fashioned, whatever they call
Yeah,
it,
I don't-
analog clock
yeah.
with batteries, and I just find a tall person, but nobody's that tall.
Right, well, I don't climb ladders, so yeah. But that clock is woefully incorrect, so, okay. All right, so I am going to adjourn this meeting at 7:33, and we will take just a brief recess before we start the next meeting. Thank you very much. and welcome to Public Safety. Today is March 27, 2023. Did everyone receive a copy of the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, so I still have goals on there, and what I'd like to tell you all is that I'd like to get at least one thing done this year. Even if we don't get anything else done, I want to get one thing done, and that is to slow the traffic down
That's what I
around
thought,
here.
the speed humps,
Right.
now that we have
Not-
the price.
And I had an idea about that, so I'll wait till we get to traffic calming, but I did want to tell you all that. So I have not received any updates from the police department, so we'll skip past that. Haven't received any updates from the fire department, we'll skip past that. No more information about street signs, but our street signs are completely inconsistent. Some of them are bigger, some are small, some
are
are
missing,
faded,
some
some
are
are missing. So it was my understanding that there's maybe a room where there are some signs located that,
They do have some, I'm sorry.
oh no, go ahead.
They do have some signs in storage. I don't know what streets, but if they do put them up, it's definitely going to be inconsistent with what we have up. It's going to be
Right,
another
so-
mismatch.
Right, so there are some signs that are, they're big and you can read them.
We need
I would like
those.
all of the signs to look like that. I don't know what that would cost, or, I just feel like that's what we should be doing. And obviously, some of the signs look that way, so I'm
Right.
not really sure what that looks like or how much, if there's a grant available for that, I don't know. But I think that the street signs are important, so.
And Madam Chair, I think we did discuss last meeting or meeting before that, we agreed that we needed new signs, but I think the ones that are up and down and intersecting with Hamilton, we were gonna wait for the whole complete, the road to be paved and then get those new signs put up. And I don't know if we were clumping the other streets together as one big purchase, but I remember we talked about that.
Right, well, apparently like I said, there's some kind of storage room with signs in it. And I don't even know who to go talk to, Madam Mayor. Do you know who I would go talk to about signs and where they are and,
Probably the Public Works Director, Braden, Bruder,
okay,
but I don't know about some closet. There aren't very many unless it's back there and there. I call it a hub, like in their garage.
Right,
Unless it's
okay.
somewhere back there.
okay, so I
Or
will,
it could possibly be in that trailer.
Madam
Okay.
Chair,
yes.
so street signs, are they able to be repainted, or do we have to buy new ones? I mean, how does that work?
I would think
I think that we have to buy new ones because the newer ones they're bigger
We need
and
newer
there's
ones.
like it has a reflective surface on it so that at nighttime you can read it. And it's hard to describe it. You would have to see one of the ones that does not have the reflective surface on it to know what I'm talking about. But I've seen the ones that have the reflective surfacing versus the ones that don't. And there's a clear difference. You can see it. And, the tinier signs even, you can't really read them.
I think Bake Street is the worst. It's
Right.
4 words and it's on a.
Right, and
plate
it's
about
a
this
little
big.
bitty tiny sign. So the sign was missing for a long time. And I had asked Mr. Mosby if he would replace the sign. He did, but he replaced it with this tiny little sign. And
And today's modern signs are a little bit higher off the ground, so you
they're
can't
just-
write on them or vandalize them. I noticed when they replace new signs, they're a little bit higher off the
Right.
ground. There's a certain foot, something like that.
Right, and they're just big enough to where you can see them. When you're driving down the street, you should be able to very
Sure.
easily see where you're going. That way, if you're looking for something, if you're looking for a particular street, you see it in enough time to slow down and turn onto the street.
And at major intersections, they tend to go up on a pole, and like at Hamilton and Galbraith, they would probably be, like 6 or 7 foot wide, and they come out from a pole, you know what I mean, at the major intersection, so you really can see where you're going.
Right, so I just think that that's important, because there's a lot of missing, faded street signs around, and it's just, trying to find, when you're trying to find streets, and it's just difficult, so.
And may I add to that?
Absolutely.
So I'm so bad with directions. So the southwestern quadrant, where you have so many streets on top of each other and a big street to get through, I think, in my opinion, I would like to see that one be done first.
Okay.
I
Yes.
think that's where the most signs are missing, but I've been in this community for over 50 years, and I still get confused about where the streets are
Right.
over there.
Yes, Sterling in Savannah has a street sign missing. I called that in 3 years ago, because if you don't, and it's a one-way street, and you can drive right, if you drive, well, past, I hate to say that, Savannah, where the nightclubs are, and as you're going past them, there's no sign to Sterling, so you wouldn't know where, if you were for out of town, or you wouldn't know where the street was. But I did call that in 3 years ago, before I was on council, so I don't know if not sure if it got replaced. But I agree, Southwest would be a good place to start.
Okay. All right, well, we'll see if we can't convince, is his name Braden?
Braden.
Braden, okay.
We'll see if we can't convince him to either come to a meeting or Zoom into a meeting or something and talk to us about the street signs. I don't know. We'll ask very nicely. I'll ask very nicely. And see if we can't figure that out.
Or I would just, since it's something that you would like to have done, Madam Chair, I would just ask for a quote on changing all the signs in the city.
Oh, okay.
Give what you were looking for
Okay, ask him for a quote
to change all
to
the
change all
signs.
the signs, okay.
Madam Chair,
And just
Yes.
make sure you specify large and reflective.
Mayor Nichols, is that something that, I know we have dollars that are allocated specifically for street
You may be
repair?
able to
Would
purchase
that-
it from the street fund.
Yeah,
Street fund.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm
That
for it.
sounds wonderful.
I
Okay.
agree.
All right, so I'm going to leave that right there on the agenda until we can get these, until I drive around and all the street signs are consistent. And I'll know that when I'm going to my office and I can actually see Bake Street. Okay, so now we're back at old business, traffic calming and speed humps and so, rumble strips.
Given a price, Ms. Ike was at our last meeting, and her and the mayor, they gave us a price for the rumble strips, the one that's on Bising, which is perfect. And I think we just need to decide which main streets deserve the rumble strips the most. But the one on Bising, when you make a right on Bising off of Hamilton, that one really works. It's near the church and the apartment buildings. That's a good rumble, because it's right before you get to
You
the
mean the
play-
speed hump, right?
No, I thought it was a rumble
No, those are speed
speed
humps.
speed hump. That's an excellent speed hump. I go down to literally 15 or 20 to go over it. And it's the reflective kind. Oh, and I'm glad we're talking about this, because I look at Nextdoor at least 2 or 3 times a week. And there were some neighbors, I don't think it was our community, but they were complaining that the speed humps were not reflective and they couldn't see them, so. But the Bising one is reflective, because I've traveled over that at night. But that was one quibble that from different communities had.
Right, well, what I'll say about
Speed
that
hump.
is, because I do, like I said, as a chair, you get emails about all kinds of things, and I probably shouldn't, but I've gotten emails about you can't, that you can't see the speed humps, and if you're going too fast, then, it might cause damage to your car. Of course,
saw that
I
on Nextdoor
immediately,
also.
I responded like, well, the speed limit is always 25. And
Right.
if you're not going 25,
It will cause
it won't cause damage to your car. So
I saw
perhaps
that
you
one
should,
also on
should drive more
Nextdoor.
slowly.
Right. And Madam Chair,
Yes,
I don't know what the answer is. So but I'm
I know
just-
what the
I'm gonna
answer
ask-
is. Everybody should slow down.
Yes, ma'am. No, but the ones on Bising, I think, are very attractive.
Oh,
They're
okay.
visible, they're
those.
nice, they don't look like they're gonna get torn apart soon. I'm not really familiar with the other ones look like on the
Okay.
other streets, but I wonder if we could focus on getting that kind of speed bump hump.
That's the one I would like,
Di-
because they gave us a price on it you and
Yeah.
Ms. Ike gave us a price on that one.
Do you know if those are more reasonable than the others that have been put in place?
It's the same one. It was on the school
Oh, they're
district.
like that, because I haven't been on, I'm on
Same
Galbraith
one.
and Hamilton,
Yeah,
It's
it's the same one. When they were purchased at the same time. The only one that is different, and I believe it's the same, is the one that's further up by the school.
Oh, okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would say those speed bumps on Bising, they are very aesthetically pleasing. And with the new street signs, with the up-to-date speed bumps or, those, it's going to aesthetically fall in line with the beautification because it's going to look,
gonna impact the city.
yeah, it's going to look nice. So,
And what I will also say to you all is that I have been driving around Clifton and Reading Road. Reading Road has speed humps.
Wow.
Wow.
And
They
so
speed on- I
if
heard
they can
really-
put speed humps on Reading Road, then right past the Avondale Town Center, right in that area, right there.
Make you slow
So
down.
if they can put speed humps right there, I'm sorry, I think Galbraith and Hamilton are fair game. That's just me. So I'm going to encourage you all to just take a drive down Reading Road.
Did anyone
'Cause-
go through the accident this morning?
I did not go through it, but I definitely saw it, and my travel time was impeded because of it.
What happened this morning, Mayor?
So as I was leaving the house, one time, all this traffic was going past my house. And I finally looked at my daughter and said, this is Hamilton Avenue traffic. So when we got out, I was backing out. I had to just back out because traffic just kept coming. So anywho, by the time I got through the traffic that was back there, when I got to Huntington, it was blocked from Galbraith to Huntington.
Oh, wow.
I saw two cars,
Oh, my God.
I just saw the blue one.
Oh,
and the white one was facing, the white car was in the southbound lane facing north. The blue, I don't know which direction.
It was directly perpendicular to a pole, like in the pole.
Okay,
So
I
this
couldn't
was
see that.
between-
and where, what
Galbraith
intersection was
and
this,
Huntington?
Galbraith and Hamilton?
With all
between-
that construction?
It was on Hamilton.
I don't know.
Hamilton
I think
Avenue?
The accident may have occurred before that. I
Oh,
believe so, but I don't know. I just looked at the cars.
wow.
So all the traffic, and I could tell they didn't know where they were going because they went around. You just could have turned on North Ridge and went right back up South Ridge, but they went all the way around Cloverdale,
Oh, gosh.
and then came up Foxwood. And so
Okay.
the traffic was everywhere. My 4-minute drive was 15 just to get from my neighborhood back through North College Hill. Well, anywho, the young lady it was a young lady and her toddler.
Oh, no.
I know her parents, and I didn't find out till later in the afternoon that it was actually them. So prayers for them. They let the baby go home, but she had to have surgery. I didn't check to see.
Wow.
The mom had to have surgery.
Were the cars totaled or
Oh, I'm sure.
no?
It was bad.
It was really bad.
And this happened on Hamilton Avenue?
It was on Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
It had to happen right after Walgreens because they had it blocked. It was actually at Bising. It
It
was
looked-
like right between
Oh.
Hamilton and Bising.
The blue car was at the pole that was on the corner of Bison and
Bison and
Hamilton, like trajected. Like it looked like, I didn't see it, but it looked like that car was traveling north, and whatever happened, it spurred over into the pole. The car was like a V as a result of the pole.
But you remember at
But
Christmas
seriously.
time, that's where that person ran on the middle part and hit the big stone. Might be something going on right about
Speed.
there.
Speed.
Yeah, you know what I mean, but whatever well, we can't change the configuration, but
We can
speed.
change, we can put speed humps on Hamilton, though.
But prayers for that family because
Yeah.
that they lost their son, their
Yeah.
older son.
I'm familiar. Ironically, in a car
Oh,
accident.
Well,
no.
he was on the bike.
He was on a bike, but a car hit him.
Run.
Yeah.
It was a hit and run, and they never found who did it.
Right.
It was a motorbike or just a regular
It was
bike?
a moped.
Motorbike. No, it was a
Like a moped.
Scooter?
like it wasn't a motorcycle. It was one of those dirt bikes.
A dirt bike. You know how the guy started riding the dirt bikes all the time?
Yeah.
And I think he had on a helmet too.
He did have on a helmet.
It was a hit and run.
My
They-
son
Speeding.
wants one. It's a whole no.
That's horrible.
I didn't know about that.
So,
I will definitely keep that family in my prayers if you guys are listening. My
I will
prayers
let
with
them
you.
know.
yeah.
Wow.
So just
So I don't know.
speed
It's a
humps
hump in that
on
area, you know.
Hamilton. Yes.
And then
And
another thing.
I just ask you all again, just for homework, just drive down Reading Road, because again, I was like, wait, somebody told me we couldn't put speed humps on Hamilton, but there are speed humps on Reading Road. That is huge.
Where should we start north at and go south?
Just if you, okay, I'm not good with street names, but you know where the Avondale Town Center was? I
Yeah.
don't know if that's what it's still called. I would start right there and then come going north, like as if you're driving towards Reading, the opposite way from downtown.
Oh, okay.
Or you
They're
can
in
start
that-
at the Urban League and go up north.
Right, yes, they're in that area.
Is, I work at UC, left on Reading at, would that work? A left on Reading from Martin Luther King?
Yep,
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
I'll try
that's
it.
perfect.
I'll try that. Okay.
Yes, yep, just, if you just come
If I
all
get
the
a
way out,
chance.
you would, yes, I'm like, wow, okay, yes, so,
Heard some people were going 60 on Reading Road.
right,
Some people are going 60 on
On
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Right.
Yeah,
Hamilton?
and Galbraith. Some
Yes.
people are going 60 when they pass me, when I'm turning right on my.
right.
And then
Thing, oh, go
they
ahead.
get mad at you when
Right.
you're going the speed limit.
They get
Right.
very mad. And another thing we mentioned too was the rumble strips, where the golf course is. Something, remember we talked about,
Right.
Speed humps, I think we should put
Speed
speed
humps.
humps
or
in
either
there.
the rumbles to.
And
to
then
the
those,
passing near where the golf course
where,
is.
you know
Clover.
how people pass in that center lane?
Mm-hmm,
We need to put some kind of, like, they have those little signs by the
Like
school.
we have at the, yeah.
Right. Those, just put signs every so often, so you're not driving down that lane because there are signs
And that
every
happens
so many
on this
feet.
side of Galbraith also. I mean, it's
Yes,
just
so
not-
we just need to put signs in there, just to, like, there's a sign there, and, and again, I get emails, so there are people watching these meetings about,
good.
especially about that, I guess there's a divider on Hamilton right before you get to Walgreens in the center lane. And my response always is, that is not a travel lane, okay?
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be driving in that lane. If you're driving in the two correct lanes, you're not gonna run up on that divider. So
Boulder.
we don't need to put a whole lot of reflectors, et cetera, on that divider, because you're not supposed to, that's not a lane.
Right,
And it's not a passing lane.
It's not a,
either.
it's
a
not a
turning
lane. It's- Right. You're only supposed to go there to turn, so if
Yeah.
you're going there to try to go around traffic, that is what the problem is.
That's wrong.
So you shouldn't be
That's how
doing
they
that.
end up with the boulder. Hello, Mr. Boulder.
Right, so I just, just saying, I think that, we gotta figure out a way to slow traffic down, and I know that there are several streets where, people pretend like there's no stop sign there.
Oh,
There are several streets where that is a problem, and I don't know if we can put lights around the sign, if that'll help, or, So I had this idea, it doesn't exist yet, but, you know, I have a budding engineer in my home, so I'm going to ask him about maybe something to put where you extend the stop sign outward over into the lane. And as long as you stop, you know, you drive under it and it doesn't cause a problem. But if you just blow through, then, you know, it's maybe, I don't know, it might scratch the paint or something on your car. I don't know. So
Yeah, but who likes that?
I just think, just an idea. I don't know. It doesn't exist yet, but,
The
you
light
know.
outside of this lot here, and this is not a great big intersection by any chance. I don't know how many times people run the red light that I'm sitting there trying to get out. It's
Right.
like, oh, I'll wait.
It is, it
Very
is,
scary, very
and
scary.
sometimes, you know, if you stop at certain, there's that light right on Hamilton, right at Dollar General. And, you know, you roll to a stop and people will go around me and blow through. Well, just like, the light is like all the way red and people just
Right.
kind of,
And they're still moving.
right. I just, I don't know.
I will say right here, the top of Marvin, I am just thinking about the signs that are not there. There is a sign there, but it doesn't have the reflective piece that you're talking about. And sometimes people don't stop at that stoplight, and I'm sitting there behind them waiting to go out, and it doesn't change. The light won't change because it's one of those ones you have to stop
Right,
here.
to get the light to change.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and just back to the sign
And
thing.
you're right, actually at the Marvin and Galbraith, there is a sign that says, stop here, with an arrow there, so that light will change. And,
But
you
you
know,
can't see it at night, and so
Right,
people
because
stop
it's not-
back behind it.
Yeah.
Trying to
And I'm
think.
sitting behind them, and I'm like trying not to be rude. One time I was actually coming here, and I pulled alongside the lady, and when she saw me pulling aside her, she sped up, and I'm
Oh,
like,
my
"That's what I
goodness.
wanted you to do anyway. I just wanted you to scoot up some." So then I had to back up a little bit and sit behind her and wait for the light to change. But
Right.
that was the point,
Right.
you know, just because if you don't
Like,
go
if you
all
don't
the
go
way
right to
through.
the line, it does right, it
Doesn't
doesn't change.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I do realize there's a visibility issue.
Right, so probably we can, okay. Yeah.
I've been on some streets, I guess in Coleraine, where, I don't know if that's still Pippin, where to the left it goes Compton, to the right it's Pippin, it's near the Family Dollar. Are you going north? Yeah, north on Pippin. They actually have a flashing red light through there, so I'm like, they must not be stopping at the red light. It literally
Right.
flashes at nighttime,
I will
Yeah.
say,
where Pippin and Compton fork.
I will say, Madam Chair, for me, I can't lie. I'm not a slow driver, but I'm not 60 Indy down, you know, Hamilton Avenue. But when I'm coming down Hamilton Avenue, leaving Kroger, and I see that sign and it says 32, I'm like, oh, you know, because in my mind, even though I can look at my dash, those signs help me to be a bit more cognizant of my
Right.
speed. Because I'm,
Right.
they are effective.
yes.
The one near, is it, you know what I'm talking about, Chili Place? It does make you think, when I'm driving, you know, I guess east on Caliber, and I see the sign near the police station in Skyline, it makes me more so those actually work.
It's
So
true.
maybe
Your
more
speed
speed
works.
limit signs?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think those, it just the sense of like, ooh. 'cause
Especially
you-
near,
honestly, I feel
especially
like
near the golf course, that would be a
Yes.
good place. I'm not sure
I'm always,
where you would put it, but, yeah.
I'm wondering if a police officer is looking at that sign, you know, like.
Right.
I-
It makes
and
you cognizant, I
It does make
agree.
you more conscious. But I've also seen some people just blow right past it, like they don't even care. So I
Right.
guess it
I
depends
just-
on the
it's-
level of consciousness you
Right.
have.
It's just,
Probably.
yeah, I don't know. I just know that, you know, the speeding, and another thing, I mean, obviously, we can't tell the magistrate and the prosecutor kind of how to do their jobs down in mayor's court, but, you know, speeding tickets, you know, they should just, you know, speeding tickets should be what they are. Because, you know, you get points for those and you get more points for going over the speed limit by more miles per hour. And maybe that's what needs to happen, like, don't work out any deals or nothing, you get the points and, get the points on your license or whatever. I just keep going back to, that community, Arlington Heights, in their heyday. They had everybody slowing down on 75 North. Right at a certain point, all of the traffic slowed down immediately because you just knew that there was a car waiting to give out tickets up there. So everybody always slowed. Everybody was going 55 through Arlington Heights. It was no.
I feel like there was a time when people slowed down in North College Hill. I don't know
Right.
what
We used to be a
shifted,
speed trap.
but it's everywhere there's a major street, because even on Winton, when you get to the park, Winton Road, it's
right.
like, that
It's
when,
still a speed trap.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
Green
know.
Hills.
Yeah, you
that
know where they're
Green Hills
sitting.
police
Green
officer
Hills,
is
oh, for
sitting
sure.
right past that speed sign.
They've been there.
Speed trap over in Newtown too.
And honestly, I feel like that's what we need for a little bit, just to
Visible.
kinda-
Right, to slow people down.
Because
Visible
this-
cruisers that they know they're going to get caught.
Right, for sure.
On my way to church, sometimes I see a police officer in this lot facing Galbraith, but I'm thinking it's Sunday morning.
Right.
I
Be here on
when
Friday
I see
night.
whoever that is taking my kid to school. My kids to school, they're there a lot of times, a lot of mornings.
Right. I
But
just,
I don't see them pulling anybody over though.
Right.
And they're blowing
but
through.
I was about to say,
the
yeah, at the only people I see pulling, I see the state troopers when they sit on Hamilton and they pull people over.
I feel
Wow.
offended. I do not want to get pulled over by a state trooper in North College Hill.
Oh,
That is North College Hill's ticket.
Exactly.
yeah, I just, yeah,
It's worse when they have the motorcycle cop.
You can't see them.
Hides behind that sign up here at the Hair Palace place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, shame on you.
I know on occasion I've seen it, NCH police sitting in the, what's that bank we just mentioned?
Huntington.
Huntington Bank. Or sometimes they'll sit in like a driveway close to the apartments by Perkins, or maybe they're sitting on the street, I don't know.
It's in that
But-
driveway.
Okay, they're sitting there waiting for traffic to blow by them and stop them, I hope.
They need to go up there by Beach Knoll.
Oh, my gosh.
When you're leaving the city and entering North College.
Turning left on Hamilton from Oak Knoll,
Just sit on West Belmont.
yeah,
From Oakville, yeah.
oh well.
Yeah.
Because the city, I think, is 35 on Hamilton, but then when you get to our community, it drops to 25.
25, right.
That's what I thought.
And then it stays 25 all the way till you get to, I know it's 25 all through Mount Healthy and the
Oh,
next
okay.
neighborhood. What is that, Springfield Township?
Springfield Township, and then,
Little stretch, so it goes from 25 to 45, and then I think it drops back to 35.
35, right. Very confusing, but, the problem is when they're coming from that area down through here, they're going 45, and they don't realize that there's like a significant drop there, going
There's a
from
speed
one.
sign there, but it's not right before the old, what she said, Beach Knoll. But it's not the 25 is not very obvious. You almost, not that you should speed, but if it flashed or if it alerted people, maybe.
So I think more speed limit signs, and again, I don't know, I have some kind of idea for, maybe somebody to come up with something that extends over into the street to force you to stop. And if you go through it, it'll do a scratch, but if you stop, it'll just go over the car and not cause anything. And I'm not an engineering person, so I don't know how that would work, but it seems like a really great idea to me. I don't know. I'm gonna talk to, like I said, my offspring is in school for engineering, not that kind, but he might know somebody who can help me with that. I'm telling you, that's what we need to do.
But the only thing I have problems with that I have a complaint
Black,
is
your microphone.
is the roundabouts, because if you're not familiar with the area, I remember the first time near the Blue Ash Airport, I didn't know it was a roundabout, and I was like, what is this, in like 5 or 6 years ago? So, I mean, it's a good thing to slow down, but it can be dangerous if the person is not familiar with it the first time. It's almost like you have to have something flashing roundabout next 200 feet.
It's a sign.
It is? Yeah, well, I missed
There's
it.
a-
Now I know it's there, but when you first approach it, you're like, which way do I
That,
go?
I've seen more of those kind of
Roundabout.
getting installed in places, and,
They're more so up north.
right, more
Oh, okay.
in Westchester, Mason.
Yes.
They have a ton of them up there.
There's one over in Deer Park, actually,
Deer
Yes,
Park?
it's
Oh,
over there by,
up the street from Target.
and it's one over there as you're getting on the highway, coming out of the Kroger.
Yeah.
And is that Blue Ash?
Intersection, right there.
Yeah,
Where Coles is,
yes.
they just put one right there. Now, that one threw me off. I'm like, okay, I've been hitting this light for years.
Right.
The
Now
first
it's a
time?
roundabout, and I was sort of like you, like, okay, am I gonna go all the way around? But I chose not to. I just went straight and cut through the back. to go
I
to
know.
Coles.
If you don't know that it's
I wonder
coming,
what
it
the
can be
purpose
really
of 'em are.
confusing.
Traffic
Slow you
calming.
down.
Yeah, it's
Slow you
traffic
down.
calming.
It is another form of traffic
that.
calming.
So they do that in place of the light, because they took the light away.
Right, but you have to slow down, because that's a
Go
whole,
around.
yeah, that's a whole
Go
event
And it
trying
has
to
a
figure that
mound in
out.
the middle. Most of them have some grassy area, and
Right.
so you're forced to slow down and go around it.
They put one at the end of Ronald Reagan when you go.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, I saw
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right. I saw that, that, I found that annoying, but,
Not first, but after a while, I'm just like, oh.
yeah, I mean, it's just because you're not familiar with
Yes,
how to
correct.
kind
out
of,
of 'em.
right.
I'm like, which street am I going on?
Right,
It
so
is.
you end up going around the circle a couple of times, like, okay, how am I,
Yeah.
how do I get out of this? But,
I
you
always
know,
was lost in Westchester. I don't care how familiar I am with the streets. I'm like, I know I've been through this roundabout about 8 times. I'm just gonna go this way. And I said, this isn't the way I wanted to go. I meant to go that way.
right,
Because there's one that I'm thinking of, you go this way, it sends you this part, this way, and the other one sends you, like, I can't think of it.
yeah, Westchester has a whole bunch
Yeah.
of extra stuff going on, like they have the northbound traffic on the south side, and they've switched things up in some, like near the highway, and I'm like, okay.
got a lot of
They really,
traffic
yeah,
calming
there's a
going on.
lot of traffic I mean, you have to, because otherwise you're like,
You have to pay attention.
right, you have to pay attention to where
Yes,
you're
Might be in
going.
that
Slow
left-hand
down.
lane.
Right, for sure,
They use those main streets like highways up there.
right,
Oh, yeah, because they're wider and, yeah, you're wide open.
right, but you have
I
to,
know
you
what you
have to
mean.
slow down, because there's some different
That's why they do
traffic
that.
things going on up there, for sure.
It is. Some of those back streets,
Yeah, so, okay, so I just want you all to know that I just want us to slow the traffic down in North College Hill. If we don't do anything else, I would like to get that done or make that happen.
That will be the best thing.
That would be hilarious.
I bet you we would get people to come to the meetings then, because, yes, oh my gosh, a traffic circle, Hamilton and Kemper.
whose idea was this?
Mayor,
Wow,
it's
this
the
road
mayor's.
report.
You slow down, right?
Right.
I did not know that those were traffic calming.
Yes.
Yes.
They calmed me down the first time I was in front of that Blue Ash Airport. I'm like, what's going on? Calm me down.
Right.
I'm trying to figure
sure.
out how to go around and not collide with somebody else coming around, you know what I
Right.
mean? It's definitely traffic
Just turn
calming.
at the light down there by the gas station and before you hit the school, turn left. Where you avoid it. Instead of going straight, you turn right, and then turn left, and then turn left again.
So you know how to avoid it, okay?
Okay, so do we have any other new business that anybody wanted to discuss? Okay, I do have some follow-ups. I'll make sure I follow up on those things about the street signs and just the speed humps, and if everyone can just drive down Reading Road so that you guys know what I'm
I
talking about.
emailed my work
Yes.
address, so I
And
can
that way we
drive
can,
down there.
that way we can kind of talk about that, because I'm liking that idea, so, you know, to slow things down.
But they also have speed humps on Glenway,
Glenway.
so that's
Oh,
another
okay.
big street.
Yeah.
That is a major street,
Right, that's a major
Glenway.
street as well. So,
Wow.
If they can do it.
right, I agree. I'm like,
Two big examples there.
right, so if we can just kind of do some recon, so we can figure this out, and just, you know, something about the stop signs, even like you know, how they have those lights around some stop signs
That's
that
what I was
light up.
saying.
Yes, those
Over
are
on,
solar powered.
Yeah,
Pippin.
just if we can do that with these stop signs that people pretend like they
Oh,
don't
yeah, that's
see.
good stuff. Solar powered and motion detected.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's like the one, like on you're on Pippin, and you're headed north, and you intersect over Springdale Road about, you know, just a few blocks south, that's where they have the one. At night, it literally just, it must be solar, because at nighttime, it
Right.
just, you know,
Mount
sparkles.
Healthy has quite a few of
Yeah,
them.
and you stop, because you can't say you didn't see it. Yeah,
Exactly.
It's like, and solar, that's probably what it is.
Okay,
Flashing stop signs.
okay. All righty. Okay, well, if there is nothing else, I will adjourn this meeting. We're a little early, but I think that we've covered some things and got some good work done. So I will see you all next month.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get my paperwork today?